Hi everyone, my name is Emma and welcome to The Fold. Today I'm going to talk to you about everything you need to know about your bed. So we're going to start with what I am sat on, which is your carriage. The carriage moves, that is the concept of Reformer Pilates, and the springs dictate how challenging it is to move, how heavy or light the carriage will be. So at the front of your carriage you have 5 springs, you have 2 heavy reds, that's your 100% springs, you have 2 green, which are your 50% springs, and 1 yellow, think of that yellow as a 1/3% spring. Okay, so if I release my springs and just push the carriage back slightly, you have stoppers, so you have a stopper system at the front of your carriage. And it's really important to always have your stoppers in so your bed has something to push against. Now the stoppers, neutral setting, these are your stoppers, are gonna live in the hole that is closest to the front of your bed here. Okay, so that's kind of like your neutral setting. I'm just gonna add on a spring here. If you are a little bit taller, you might need to move your stoppers out slightly, depending on what exercises you're working with. So for ones where you're lying down on the carriage, I have my stopper in hole number 1. So we're lying down and we're just making sure that the knees come somewhere over the hips when the feet are on the bar. Now, if I were a little bit taller, I might look a bit like this with the knees coming over the body, and we don't want that. We want to start in a neutral position. So if you are a little bit taller, you might just need to bring those stoppers out slightly. Another setting you have by your springs is that you have 2 gear bar levels. You have a bottom gear bar and you have a top gear bar. Now, generally we work with that lower gear bar. However, if you would like a fraction more resistance, you can also use the top gear bar, and that adds in a tiny little bit more resistance if you feel like potentially maybe the yellow is slightly too light, but you just want a touch heavier, but not so much a green. Okay, so at the front of your bed, you have a platform, and you of course have that footbar. Now the platform is movable, it can come out of its setting. Now to do that, come around the front of your bed, and you have 2 little screws. Now you can just loosen those screws and take the platform out very easily. So for example, if you're working with the jump board, you're gonna grab the jump board. Before you do that, make sure that your foot bar is down. So it's a simple pull and lift system. So foot bar goes all the way down. Grab that jump board, and you have 2 little metal slots. You're just going to slot that jump board nicely into here. Now, of course, you want to make sure it's nice and stable. So right underneath the front of your bed, you have 2 more screws. So a little bit lower down. So you're going to make sure that those screws are nicely tightened on each side. Now, just for a little bit of extra security, we're going to lift that foot bar and just have it just behind that jump board. Okay, so that's your jump board set up. To take it out, you reverse the process. So foot bar comes down, unscrew underneath the bed, your 2 black screws right underneath. We're then gonna slide that jump board out. Let's put that platform back in. Okay, once you place all of your components back in, make sure you're obviously screwing them back in so they're nice and secure. Now, while we're here, we also have a platform extender. Okay, so this is this little item here. So when you're using your platform extender, you want to make sure that your stoppers are in hole number 2. That just gives you enough space to slot that extender into. Okay, so I'm moving my stoppers to hole number 2 away from the gear bar. I'll just add on a green spring, say if I'm doing stability standing work, and then just slot that platform extender into place. Now that's a great piece of kit if you're doing maybe some standing stability work. So 1 foot goes onto the platform first, the stable part, 1 goes onto the carriage. So it gives you a little bit more range of motion of the bed here. Okay, so looking to the back of your bed, so you have your carriage and then you have your shoulder rests. So as in the name, they're where you rest your shoulders. Behind the shoulder rests, you have posts, and then your straps live on your posts. You have a longer loop, generally for your feet, and you have a shorter loop, which you'll use for your hands. You can also switch that up, there's no rule. So if you want a little bit less with hands and straps work, you can go to your longer loop for a little bit less resistance. Now you want to make sure that your straps are in the right length, okay? So to check that, you're going to place your longer loop over the top of your shoulder rest. So you have a pulley system at the side, you have 2 eyelets and then your pulley system. You're going to bring that strap out of the pulley system here and then just pull on that strap until it goes quite taut. But we don't want to pull the carriage away, make sure the carriage is not moving. Make sure it's locked back into your pulley system, and that is a neutral strap, and you can pop that back onto your post. Make sure that you do the other side as well so you're nice and even, so that long strap goes on top of the shoulder rest. Again, I'm just going to pull that pulley system, make sure it's locked in place, and then it lives back on that post so it's out of the way of your shoulders. We also have a headrest. So the headrest is currently flat, but we have 2 settings to lift it up. So you have a little cube system behind, half lift, and then a full lift. So a nice adjustment to make for your bed if you're working with abdominals, hands and straps, forward flexion, lifting the head and shoulders, so you don't get any neck soreness. Now at the back of the bed, you have your risers. Okay, these are fitted with screws at the back. So when you put your bed together, you'll easily unscrew to slide them out and screw to tighten them in. Then you don't really need to do a lot at the back here. You just want to make sure that your straps are not crossed over or knotted when you're doing your class. Finally, we have our box. Now again, like the platform extender, for example, you only use the box for certain exercises. The box can be used on the carriage lengthways, so that is a long box, or in a short box position on your bed. We can also use it as a side box, maybe for standing lunges to the side of the beds. So again, it's another piece of kit that really diversifies the beds. Okay, so that's everything that you need to know about your beds. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you very soon.